Good morning and welcome to America's Home Cooking. I hope you had a wonderful evening. I'm going to be making country herb dinner rolls. Now the first thing we're going to have to do is put some herbs together before we even start the rolls. Do take a third of a cup of butter and sit there and melt it. You can count it out on the stick, which is 5 tablespoons and 1 teaspoon. Or if you just buy butter by the bulk, you can sit there and put a measuring cup 2/3 full and put butter into it till it floats, the water level floats up to 1 cup, and you will have it. That's how I learned all 3 of those ways. Okay, for the herbs, we're gonna need basil, oregano, tarragon, and parsley. Now we have to add up to 3 tablespoons, and we have to put these in equal. So if I use 2, 4, 6, 8, I'm going to be shy. So if I use 2, 4, 6, 8, and I have to get 9, we'll take the last one and do it like, okay. I'm going to be doing math while we're doing this, okay? So we're first going to put 2 teaspoons of everything, which will add up to 8 tablespoons, and I need to get up to 9 tablespoons, so we'll be sitting there and adding more, coming back around on the seasonings. All right, so first let's add 2 teaspoons of everything, and then I'll calculate the last part. So this is basil. I'm adding 2 teaspoons. Ratios. And measuring. This is oregano. I'm going to add 2 teaspoons as well. I'll put this to the side. Let me turn you down. I actually am putting it in a little bowl, if you must know. This is tarragon. Then I'll talk about if you're using fresh herbs. So first I've got to get this down. No, Taffy, I fed you. And this is parsley. No. All right, next thing you're going to do is add 3/4 of those 4 seasonings, and that will take us right up to where we have to be. Because 3/4 is 3/4 is 1.5 teaspoons. 1.5 and 1.5 equals a tablespoon. This will be equal ratio. Then I'll talk about people who use fresh. I'm gonna get those set. See, math is very important, but they make it so complicated today. Yeah, I just go back to the simple way. 1 + 1 does equal 2, no matter how you look at it in every way. Okay. Okay. That's what they want. All that measuring, and I got it. That's a lot of herbs. Well, there's a lot of herbs in this one. Okay, now we've got these to the side. Your butter should be melting quite nicely. All right, you need 2 packages of, let me talk about the dried herbs. You can substitute finely chopped fresh herbs for the dry. They just say use 3 times more of the herbs, Because see, if you dehydrate a tablespoon of parsley, when it's dehydrated, it's only a teaspoon. So always, if you're using fresh herbs in place of your dry, increase the ratio 3 times. Okay. Now they want, I think this is 2 1/4, yeah. They want 2 packages of yeast. Okay. 2 teaspoons. Don't worry, I have another one. I always keep yeast on hand. Between my wild yeast and this, I've always got stuff to grow. Alright, to this yeast you're going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar. You're probably asking me, aren't you going to proof it? I usually don't. You proof it to make sure your yeast is alive. This is where people fail a lot. First, they fail in the store because they don't read the expiration date. Number 2, they fail because they don't sit there and put the yeast where it needs to go. The yeast does not need to be left on the counter or in a cabinet. It cannot be put in the freezer. It's usually kept next to where you keep the butter, in the refrigerator. That's the temperature it needs. Now they want 1 cup of warm water. Okay, 1 cup. No, that's hot. I need cold water to heat up. And never use hot water from the faucet. You have sediments from the heating unit, the hot water unit, and that sediments attack your liver. If you've ever seen people blown up in the center, there's two causes that causes that. Let's see, I leave this in for like 15 seconds. That should do it. Ta-da. I'll be right back. They talk about warm water, they're talking body temperature. You check it at your wrist. But when you make as much bread as I do, you pretty much know where you stand. Now, there's some things that affect the liver. Chemicals that they put in medication affect the liver. Anything that you eat that is not food is going to give you a problem. So when you take medications and you have a pain on the side, see, liver, gallbladder, liver. What? Come on, Sandy, you know your anatomy. Let's see, yeah, the liver's on this side with the gallbladder. You notice how men will swell up across the center here? All right, 2 reasons. And women, when they swell down here and up in the belly as they get older. Now there's a few things that do this. Medication is going to attack the liver. So if you take medication or anything, it's going to affect your liver. Sooner or later down the road, your liver's going to show signs. You're going to start swelling. Also, another thing is alcohol and illegal drugs. I say legal and illegal. That's to cover medications, marijuana, and the stuff that you take. When you're young, it's fine, but as you get older, you're going to notice it's going to affect this region. With women, it'll start down here. Another thing that causes swelling is not having babies. Yes, we have a small belly when we're young down here, because this is where we're going to carry the children. It gets a little bigger, but it doesn't get up to here. So you might go up a dress size or two. From the time of being a young single woman to having children to going through menopause, you should go up 1 to 2 sizes only. Now, another thing that nobody wishes to mention because they find it extremely embarrassing and they don't like to talk about it is there's an old saying, you're full of shit. And it's true. The colon, if you can't move your bowels in less than a minute, when you get on that toilet and you cannot move in less than a minute to clean urinate and move your bowels, you're backed up, you're constipated. So through your life, the colon is like this. You know what collects in those little pockets? Waste. I'll call it waste on the inside, but it's actually bowels. And through time, it builds up. Food that you eat cannot get through the walls because of the toxicity, or the bowels are backed up and they lean and hold on to that wall. So as you eat the food, you get less and less nutrients, and you get older and older, and you start looking really, really bad. And this ages people tremendously to the point that they're constipated. Now, they have done x-rays on people where their colon is loaded with bowels. It's backed up in the small intestines, and sometimes it even goes all the way up here and loses its shape. But you're carrying like 50 pounds of waste in you, and that's why women are getting big here. Okay? Same thing with men. So it's actually toxicity. Now, how do you get this out? I don't think an enema, one try, or a laxative is going to do. I think you have to go and get clean. They have a what do they call the women who did it? What they do is they flush the colon out every week. You go and see them. What is it? Oh, I lost the word. You go every week. It took my husband 2 years for his whole colon to be cleaned because of Vietnam and the chemicals to get him out of his system. He had to go every week, and they flush your whole colon out, literally. And next week it's all dirty again, because your body, once it gets clean, it starts pushing up the toxins that are in your blood and in your tissues, because this is why people get bigger as they get older. It pushes it back into the colon because the colon's clean. They're trying to get rid of it. And what is the name? I can't remember the name. I wish I could. I remember her name is Connie. She was a beautiful 89-year-old woman who was still doing this. Anyway, as you go through this for a year or so, the colon gets clean, finally gets clean, and you get your body running again, and you'll notice the weight comes down. You feel better when you go to the bathroom in the morning. You can do it within a minute or so. But the reason all this is happening is because magnesium is a mineral that should be in all our food with calcium. Now, calcium by itself is going to lock you up. In other words, you're going to get constipated. But on the other end, if you take too much magnesium, you're actually going to have diarrhea. Now, if you get it in a balance of 2 to 1, in other words, if you take 500 milligrams of calcium, you have to take 250 of magnesium, and you take it accordingly this way in a supplement, you'll notice it'll be easier to move your bowels every day. And you also, they're tranquilizers. They also keep you calmer, so when you sleep, if you're tense like this and you have enough calcium, magnesium, and minerals, you're the most relaxed and friendly person you could meet. Who wants to, be irritated? So there's a lot of things that go on. But for the swelling in here, it's the alcohol, it's the drugs, legal and illegal, and it's also an unbalanced diet. And because it's unbalanced, as you get older, the toxicity builds up. You become more cranky. It starts showing on your face. You start ending up losing your hair, your nails start acting up, your skin gets blotchy. There's a whole lot of things that go on, and all of this is really screaming toxicity and not a balanced diet. Okay, now I've proofed my yeast. I told you I put a cup of warm water, 2 packages of yeast in here. We put the sugar in, which is 2 tablespoons, and I'm going to show you. This is proofing. You see that? See these little bubbles and stuff? My yeast is active. Very nicely done. Okay, let's see what we have to do next. I've never made this recipe, but I've kept my eye on it for a couple of years. I have so many recipes, I can't get around to all of them. Okay, we are going to add 1 cup of sour cream. Okay, we need another spoon for this. Can you imagine how nice these are going to be with sour cream? I wanted you to understand what's going on in your body. I want you to say, okay, I know what's going on. I can correct this. You should be able to say, I know what to do. This is what's missing. Like a lot of teenagers get upset because of the acne they get. That's an imbalance of your B vitamins, believe it or not. You're not getting them, or they're unbalanced. If you're under a lot of stress, pantothenic acid, niacinamide is for smokers because the brain needs it. That's why you smoke. And they take the nicotine in place of niacinamide. Morning sickness, be sick. Prenatal mask, pantothenic acid, B6. Skin problems, A and D. I mean, you just start going down the line, you know? All right. You want me to add these now or later? Let's see. All right. All right, salt. We need, where's the salt on this? 1.5 teaspoons of salt. See, you don't have to use my recipes. You can use your recipes. I'm just showing you how to make them more nutritious, how you can balance things out for yourself. Breathing problems, you need vitamin E, spelled with a Y, D-alpha catopherol, spelled with a Y. You don't need the mixed catopherols. They do nothing for you. And if you get the synthetic or the mixed catopherols, they do nothing for your breathing. Vitamin E, but you have to be careful with vitamin E. Too much vitamin E, you could end up with high blood pressure if it's not balanced. All right, add the herbs. Okay. Can you imagine how good these are going to smell? Your butter should be cool enough now. Yeah. Now, I know I need B vitamins, so I'm going to be adding 1/2 cup of flour to this. Let's see, yeah. It's not going to affect the flavor, but I'll make sure I get those B vitamins and trace minerals that we need. Now, you should be able to take your recipes and make them more nutritious. It's easy to do. The only one I'm having trouble with is with the cake, because I don't want it to taste like bread. I want it to taste like a cake. I'm still working on that. If you like polenta a lot, you can add 1/2 cup of powdered milk to the water and the seasonings that you put in it. So when you put the cornmeal in, it comes out. I'll show you how to do that. I do it there too. I can use stock and powdered milk. I'll make a whole meal out of the thing. All right, what you want me to do to... Okay, I know how to do that. I know how to do that, okay. You're probably saying, what am I going to do next? I'm going to be adding flour to it. Put those there. You can put this in a mixer if you have a heavy-duty mixer. KitchenAid is definitely a heavy-duty mixer. I don't know of another one. If there is and you have one, by all means, you can't knead that well or anything else. You can, and it hurts your arms, you can use that in place of it. But you're probably saying, she never eats rolls. Oh yeah, I have like 50 to 100 recipes of different rolls as well. That's why I want to get a smoker. But I have other things I have to do first, so it doesn't make any sense. This could end up being a heavy set of rolls unless you beat them. That's why I'm going to have a couple at a time and warn you about it. Now, if you want to know, have I had breakfast yet? No, I have not. I'm not hungry yet, so I'm not going to eat. I had my glass of water. In fact, I hear women say all the time, you're 72 and you still have your waist. I said, yes, I do. I didn't want to tell them why they were swollen, you know, because it's a sensitive topic. It really is. And I know some things I talk about are very sensitive and people get embarrassed and young people laugh and say that's not so, but age will give it away. This is where the body remembers everything that you've done to it. One person wrote me and said, well, it seems you've done something right. I didn't know. See, I hate experimenting on other people. I'd rather experiment on myself because I would know how I feel about it. Like people volunteered to do the Manjaro that I made, but I had to go and spend a lot of money to buy a bottle to see the ingredients. And then I couldn't guarantee the person would take it the way I would and tell me exactly how they feel, but I would be capable of doing that because I took it for a whole month. I lost like 5 inches off my waist. I couldn't believe it. I said, this really does work. I didn't check my hips or anything, and then I came off of it because it was only a test for people to help you make a decision for yourself about it. I listened to a lot of people. They had the pink salt trick. Why they say the pink salt is because it's got minerals in it, like kelp. And they're using that salt in place of the, what it was, the ingredient, sodium something in Manjaro. So they're trying to change the recipe around. My thing was, I wanted to know what was in it, and then I was going to try it. But I had put a limit on it. You know, I'd only try it for 30 days. I'm not interested in being skinny as a bone. That's just not my cup of tea. I'd really rather be healthy. You know, that's how I look at it. My body has pretty much maintained itself, and if I have to lose some weight, I just cut back on my eating. That's all. I don't need help. But I'm pretty content with myself. If I find I've put weight on, and my skirts get a little tight, I know I have to diet. But people want an easy out. I have hot water running in the bowl because we need a hot bowl to put this in. I always recommend the glazed ceramic bowls. They're heavy. They hold the heat for the yeast nice. By the way, those flaxseed biscuits, they went in the same day again. They don't even last 24 hours. They're just that good. My family enjoys them tremendously. And we've already eaten half the pie. And we haven't shared. We're just eating the pie. It's so good. When you find something like that, you don't say no to it. I hope you're getting ready for you're doing your Christmas shopping ahead of time. They have the sales. Well, to tell you the truth, the stores pick the prices up before Christmas comes on, and then they give you the sales when it's no sale at all. After Christmas, you'll find sales because they want to clear that out so they can get the spring clothes in. Giving you a heads up. I shop at this time, either in the summer or right when you're thinking of candy and stuff for Halloween and costumes. I'm going Christmas shopping. I'm getting dirty in a hurry. another 10 minutes, okay? So I'll be back. If you need to add more flour, add another half a cup of whole flour. That should cover it. If it doesn't, I should be around 5 cups. I think, because they say 5.5 to 6, so I should be close to it. And because I added a half a cup of whole wheat flour, it doesn't really interfere with it. The loaves are just like an off-white instead of bleached white. And with the greenery, you won't even see it. So I'm going to continue kneading for a bit, and I will be back. Okay, do not go past 5.5 cups of flour. I'm just picking up the last of the flour on the counter and kneading it in. Okay, you got to clean that bowl out. Make sure it's warm because you're going to need it warm. Grease your bowl. This will keep the dough from sticking to it. Up on the sides as well, because the bread will rise. This is for people who are learning to make bread. Put this in the bowl. Twist it around to coat the top of it. Then flip it over. And the reason we do this is all for the new people who are just learning to make bread. That's to keep this bread from drying out. When we use sourdough, we don't cover it up. But for this kind of bread, using the yeast that you buy in the store, we have to cover it up or it will dry out. And I'm going to throw 2 towels over it. And you put it in a warm place in your kitchen. All right, and give it time to double. I can always tell when mine's ready. I mean, it's crawling out of the bowl. It rises. You know, I press my way 2 times ahead. Don't worry, happens all the time. It's just I'm doing clothes at the same time. I have to bring the clothes in and I don't want them to get flour on it. So, there, that'll keep them clean. Now I will see you in part 2 because I have to let this rise. Rising, if it's a hot day, it can rise less than an hour. If it's just a normal day, it'll take an hour. If it's cold outside and your kitchen isn't real warm, it could take 2-3 hours before it gets up there. Just be patient with the yeast. As long as it's in a warm place and it's covered up and you've done everything right, it will rise. But remember, the first thing on anything of making bread is to make sure your yeast is not dead. And you have to look at those expiration dates. If it's dead, don't buy it. If it is dead and you forgot about it, throw it out. It's not going to work. So I'll see you in part 2.